like I was talking with Camille, I didn't realize behind the scenes just quite how many PRs and issues had been being worked on and closed and merged. And so I sent that out yesterday in the meeting notes here and listed those all in green down here on the list. So thank you, Riff, Camille, Z, everyone, Chris. That was a ton of work. Thank you. And I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. Riff, that was crazy a lot of work, right?
My job's easy. My job's easy. I just read all this fine work everyone else has done and sprinkle holy water on it.
Right. And so I think this week, if we could have the conversation around issue 518 that was filed around the inbound routing from last week, I had made an issue and kind of put the information here in the PR. And since we have Riff and Prince and Ashutosh, maybe we can cover what the question is. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read through it, but I'll make it bigger here.
Sure, yeah. I added my questions to the PR or the issue.
Yeah. So it was about using the ENI ID for inbound routing in 2.2 of the HLD. And could we get by with just the VNI and the source PA prefix?
Yeah, and the second question was on the priority field.
Yeah, the priority field. So I'm going to pull that up right here.
Yeah, I think went through the question. So basically, this is for the Vnet inbound routing, right? Like, and this is part of the ENI route table. Like, so that's why the key has ENI in it. So I'm not very clear, like, why the question on ENI.
So in the beginning of the pipeline, right, we do a ENI lookup, right?
Yes.
Just on the ENI, and that gives me a Vnet, right? Because on inbound case, once you know the ENI, and as long as the the Vnet is unique, like the Vnet values don't get reused across regions or something, we already derived the Vnet based on ENI in the pipeline. So you already have Vnet ID coming from the ENI, right? So at this point in the pipeline, you already have a Vnet value set, right? And we already also know the destination IP of the host because it's an inbound case, right? So the packet is going back to the server. And based on the ENI again, we also know the destination PA of the final host, right? So that information is already there, right? So in terms of routing, I can simply route, let's say if there's no security case or something like that related to PA validation, I can just based on the ENI lookup, even without doing inbound routing, I can forward the packet correctly to the intended destination, right? It will reach the server correctly, the correct amount of, all the transforms correctly.
Yeah, but one of the intention of the inbound routing is to do the PA validation, right? So here, again, like if you notice, the key is VNI and the source prefix, not the destination, right? So based on the source prefix, you basically match for the validity of that IP within.
I got it, right? So,
yeah.
So let's say the destination and source, right? So I'm trying to differentiate between two, right? So I agree that, yeah, source I'll come to security check for the PA validation, right? But if you look at simply the destination lookup, we really don't need a destination lookup. We can route the packet. You agree, right? So now we come back to the security part of it, right? And the PA validation, right? So now in the PA validation, you're matching on the source IP prefix, right? And the Vnet ID, or you can say on the VNI, either way, to figure out if this packet is even supposed to come from that source, right? If that source is even part of the Vnet, right?
Yeah.
So, but in that case, you don't need ENI, right? Because just matching on the Vnet or VNI, isn't it enough? Or
it should be sufficient, but we have modeled the routing table as part of an ENI, right? We don't have a generic a routing table like which is like common for all the entire DP, right? So the whole route table modeling is based on keyed with the ENI ID. I mean, if we really want to look at the VNI and the So any packet coming with that VNI and that source prefix, if it matches within a VNet, that should be sufficient. But yeah, I think ENI gives like
So Prince, are we saying that, are we trying to determine based on the incoming packet which ENI or which route table need to be applied to this packet, or which route needs like route table can have different routes, right? Different route tables. So are we saying that an incoming packet based on just VNI and the CA, we can determine which route table it needs to go to?
VN. So basically, first we need to identify the ENI, right? That's based on the VNI value and the MAC address. So with that, we can determine the ENI or derive the ENI, and from that ENI.
ENI can be based on just PA, right? PA will give you which ENI needs, like which DPU and ENI this packet needs to is applicable for, right?
PA meaning like the PA source or PA dest? I didn't. You mean
dest.
So the dest PA will be the appliance VIP, right? Or whatever is the IP belonging to that entire appliance, not per VNI, per ENI, right? So from the PA alone, we cannot derive.
Are we talking about packet has already reached the DPU and now we are trying to find out the ENI?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So on NPU, PA is enough to route to the.
Oh right yeah. Of course. Yes. This is once it reaches the appliance
then we
card.
Need PA and MAC, right?
Correct. Yeah. And MAC.
We need MAC and PA. Yes.
To and derive now, the.
And now once we have PA and MAC, we know which ENI this packet is for, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now once we know the ENI, we know which route table this needs to go through. I mean, really, like for inbound packets, there is no route that it needs to go through because that's not even a scenario. But let's say there is a scenario where someone needs to apply routes to inbound packets, but that is
Sushant,
sufficient.
Yeah, I think that's probably not the issue. My guess is that is it possible it is for peering? Because the packet coming from different places, they could be coming from the peered VNet. So you may end up with like different VNI.
Yeah, of course. That is what I was gonna say. The VNI has nothing to do with which NIC, which ENI the route table the packet is meant for, because MSE V2 side can be sending with a VNI which is not even same as the VNI of the Vnet.
Yeah.
So just VNI will not actually tell us which ENI this packet is for. For that, PA and MAC is the right key to look up which ENI, and then from ENI, depending on which route table is associated with the ENI, we can apply that route table if there is a routing stage. And I think it's a separate discussion if inbound pipeline needs a routing stage or not, but if it does,
yeah, I think here in the Dash model, Sushant, the main purpose of the inbound route table is for PA validation. So that's why the route table keys are with the VNI and the source PA. But it is like you said, like it is correct. Like we have to determine the ENI and then look up based on that ENI's route table.
Right, but VNI is, I don't think if VNI is the right way to identify anything here.
So VNI, because the same VNI can exist for the PA address from a different region. That's why the VNI is used as a key here.
No, Prince. So one is same VNI cannot exist, but even if it exists, Prince, the VNI of the incoming packet may not match the VNI that you have programmed on the ENI, because ENI is programmed based on the VNet with which this in which this ENI the NIC belongs, right? And
yes, I think, Sushant, we are probably telling the same thing, because the VNI has this inbound route table has a field for VNet to specify the VNet which the ENI belongs to. It is
again. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? So VNI based, how will it work? I didn't
So
get it.
if you look at the inbound route table, that inbound route table has a field called Vnet, which will tell which Vnet that lookup should happen for PA validation. So the route table, there's no
can we separate the PA validation as a separate stage
one quick thing.
and not mix it with routing,
Kristina,
right?
So
Kristina,
again, like
do
this
you mind
is
to
all.
open the SONiC HLD?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because I feels like there are some the gaps here. The inbound routing table, the key is a little bit special. So Kristina, if you don't mind, go to the config DB
Scroll
or
down.
FDB
Yeah.
part. Yeah. There is a database schema, and that will help the discussion.
Yeah.
There's a routing rule table.
Okay.
Router rule. Sorry, router rule.
Router.
Route_rule. Think. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the inbound route table. I believe this one is just for checking the prefix is the source PA. So pretty much this one is likely to use the source PA to determine the Vnet, and so we can get the right mapping to validate. But here we go. This is the table. Okay.
Riff, there should not be VNI in this key, right?
Yeah,
Why
so
VNI?
that's the other problem, that the description says Vnet, but the actual behavioral model has VNI, and my understanding is you cannot trust VNI because that's what you're trying to kind of check, right? So you should be using Vnet in the key, not the VNI, because you got the Vnet from the ENI.
No, neither Vnet nor VNI. This prefix and what to do based on this prefix is directly applied on ENI. It doesn't matter what the VNI is.
So VNI here is optional.
Okay.
No, I think which one is optional? I forgot, like whether it's VNI or
Source PA.
Prefix is optional.
Prefix is
VNI
optional. Okay, so
VNI
think
is
of
required.
correct. Yeah. Okay. So the point is you're getting a packet inbound direction, and which the packet has a VNI and the source PA prefix for that. Let's say for the sake of argument. So once it determines the ENI, then we need to look at the source PA and the VNI of the packet to derive the Vnet. So because in case of, let's say, the packet coming from a different region or a paired Vnet, then it might have a VNI and prefix belonging to a Vnet that is not that is not the Vnet that this ENI belongs to. So that's why we need this inbound route rule is used to derive that Vnet, so that the PA validation happens from that mapping tables, not from the
same VNet ID or not VNet ID, same this GRE key or VNI is not possible for two different VNets, no matter the region. But the other question I have is, if we want to do PA validation, why are we trying to use route table to do PA validation? Why can we not just add a stage which just says PA validation and do the right thing there? Why are we trying to use the route table to implicitly do a PA validation?
So this is again like the Vnet to Vnet. I think, Sushant, maybe if you're thinking MSC, then we are not using this table for PA validation. Okay, for the MSC use case, the private link case. But this is the VM to VM
VNet to VNet
model. Yeah, Vnet to Vnet model, where you, for the packet that is coming from a paired Vnet, this is how the route lookup, not the lookup happens for doing any sort of like PA validation.
I think we should clean it up. So it says PA validation in the route. Do we want it to be in the route? And because this is right now implicit, there is no need for a route table for the inbound packets, but there is a need for PA validation. So maybe we should create a just stage called PA validation and just put the right values there.
Okay, so
right?
let's think about this, right? Like you're getting a packet from a paired VNet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the VNI cannot be same for that VNet, first of all.
Yeah, you're getting the packet with the VNI that is belonging to a peered VNet.
Yeah.
Right now you got the packet. Now this packet is identified to be belonging to. So let's say that VNI is VNet VNet 1. Okay, and you're getting a packet, and this ENI is belonging to VNet 2. Correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's assume that. Now, when the packet arrives, and we identified, hey, this VNet is belonging to ENI, this ENI is belonging to VNet 2, but your PA validation has to happen on VNet 1. How do we like model that, or how do we specify that? Like, okay, now the PA validation has to happen on VNet 1 because that's where this VNI is belonging to. So is what I'm saying? Like,
that's why I know what you are saying is, so if we have something called like a PA validation stage with the right fields, which says which all VNIs are allowed, so different packets with what VNIs are allowed to send packet to this ENI, that will be the right way to model, not via adding different route for different peered VNet.
Yeah, but
we can model it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like we can model it different ways, but here, because it is pointing to the VNet, we don't need to have a explicit PA list because it is like derived from the mapping table, which is a CAPA mapping table, and we don't need to like repeat the stuff.
Okay, sure. So right now the intent here is to say, let's say there are 10 different peered VNets sending the packets with 10 different VNIs. Now this routing stage will say whether this packet even should be allowed to go through to this NIC or not.
Yeah.
Right. So PA validation, you validate not only the destination PA but also the VNI that is set on the packet.
Correct.
So if 5 different VNIs are allowed, then the packet will go through, and you will add 5 different route entries for 10 different peered VNets. As an example, we will do that.
As an example, that's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, the inbound routing rule should be called as a PA validation.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, it's not really a route.
Okay. I don't know if Ashutosh, does that explain why we have these 3 things?
No, I got it, that because it's essentially similar to RPF check, right? And that's why probably it's called, the unicast RPF check in the traditional networking, right? Because you're trying to verify that it came from the right peered VNet. Yeah. So you basically want to specify a list of peered VNet per ENI. Right?
Yes. So ideally, we could have done it in a one rule that says a list of VNIs that are allowed for this NIC. But now there are different routes that will say, okay, this packet can go through because even though the VNI is different, but since this route says this is allowed, we'll let the packet go through to the VM.
No, so why do you need both route? Okay, so the simpler case will be you simply say that for this incoming ENI, right, these are the VNIs allowed because this is the list of peers, peer VNIs. But then why do you need the source PA? Because you're also trying to verify to make sure that it came from the right source subnet. Because there's a prefix here, right? Because you have a source PA prefix. Yeah.
No. So the prefix generally is part of a route table, because the ideal way to use a route table is to say, okay, if packet is going to this prefix, this is the routing that should happen for the packet. But in this case, this prefix is not used at all. We will not be filling up this prefix because we are using a data structure. Yeah, because we are using a data structure which is called a route. Actually, it is not used for routing anything. It is used for validating and letting go the packets that are incoming. But because it is called a route, we have to put a prefix, because without a prefix, destination prefix, route object doesn't make sense. So in general, every route says, okay, packet is going to this destination prefix, do a different type of routing for this packet. As an example, instead of sending it to the intended destination, send it to some NVA VM. So that's where the prefix comes into the picture. Over here, this prefix is not going to be filled up.
Okay, yeah. So I think if you simply add that this prefix is not going to be, that solves my...
Used for, when a route is going to be used for PA validation, there is no use of prefix field there.
Okay. So that will not be
Yep.
populated in the actual API call. So okay, and
Yeah.
I think that's where
I
my
mean-
confusion came from. A lot of confusion came from. I thought
If
that
that's the
actually is
case-
used.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
if
Riff,
that's the
anything
case,
else?
Could
Yeah.
we remove the prefix? Just for simplicity.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna get, because I think everybody who looks at it will eventually get confused because like
Yeah,
if
because
you,
right now the prefix has to do like ternary match and it's just like, because if it is ENI, VNI, then it will be just like exact match, and we don't have to use like the ternary. So the underlying implementation. Could be
I think Riff here the description itself says that the prefix is optional. So
No.
Oh yeah, by optional.
Optional, I
It's
meant
just
that
not
the API
used.
call by API call, because I thought that some entries will have a prefix and some will not have a prefix, and because there's a priority also. So the question started with my question started with priority. Why do we even need a priority? Right?
because this is not an LPM kind of lookup, right? So,
but once you remove the prefix, let's say, right, you don't even need LPM or priority at all.
yeah.
Because
Once you remove, then it will be unique. But I think
Let's see if we can remodel it with just creating something called PA validation object or something like that. Maybe less confusion that way, right?
Okay.
Like a stage that's maybe not right now. Maybe you have some timelines for that, but let's have it in a roadmap where we add a stage called PA validation, and like with just the fields that are actually relevant to PA validation, like what all we need to validate.
Agree. I think we can leave this for now because we are not going to use this route rule table.
No, but you have to do PA validation somehow, right? Which is implicit, is what in our implementation, right?
Yeah.
So this is explicit PA validation. If someone wants to do, we have given them an object, which is like a route, and maybe it is hard for people to understand that this is the way to do an explicit PA validation. So maybe we can rethink. I don't know.
Yeah, let's close that. Let's close that offline.
But valid feedback, right? The feedback is valid.
Yes, this is definitely good.
All right, guys. Yeah, I think once I understood that is not required, I think that answers my question. So
yeah,
I think we can mark that as
not only not required. Actually, it should not be filled up. If someone wants to use this for a PA validation, they should not fill up the prefix.
Yeah, we can reject that API call basically. If we get an API call where the prefix was actually populated, we can reject it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Okay.
Great. Good discussion.
Yeah, totally.
Yep.
And I did see that there was an update to PR 462 where Xiong is going to add some information to the dash flow design, but that's later when the P4 generated version of the API is ready. And then Prince U merged 509 recently here. So if anyone wants to look at this one.
Yeah, I think this is not much changes to this this HLD, right? It's just basically fixing few things that were.
Yep.
Yeah, it's more like a format. It's not like behavior change. So yeah,
that was great.
That's why just directly prove that.
Right. And then did you add this, Prince, in the last day or so? Introduce route group.
So yeah, that's a new PR I created yesterday. Maybe yeah, community can go over that. And
so this one also as an explicit like PA validation table.
So we're looking. Are we going to close this offline with the other one as well?
I think this is a bit a slight different one. So I think we changed the grouping of routes basically. I mean, again, like there's no behavioral change as such, but it's basically introducing a route group table and there's explicit PA validation table.
Yeah, right here, route group table. Okay.
Prince, would you like to go through the doc, like explain the change, or do it next time?
Yeah, I don't know whether the community got chance to look into this.
It will be useful to say why we actually are grouping the routes in a single group.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I can probably then give a brief overview of the change. So today we model the route table with ENI and this is not the inbound route rule table. Okay, this the outbound routing. So currently the model is like all these routes are belonging to an ENI and the controller then in that case has to explicitly call each route update with that ENI key. So so by having a group table and a binding operation, this is very similar to the current ACL model. So where you can create all the routes in a group and then bind it atomically for that particular ENI. So this is basically enabling a kind of atomic binding of the route instead of updating one by one. So that's the main gist of it. But with our previous model, that was not possible with an atomic as an atomic operation. Yeah.
So Prince, in case of ACL, it's expected by the implementation to apply the whole table right in one shot because otherwise you have security holes. Is that also the expectation with this routing group now, that all the entries have to be applied in one shot?
Correct. That's the expectation because sometimes there will be holes or black holing of traffic, right? If we apply routes in a different order as compared to one bulk update.
Okay. So this is for the whole ENI?
This is for the whole ENI, yeah. This is like per ENI.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it says that you don't break this into, so the group is mapped to a ENI. It's not like a subset of ENI routes. It's
yeah. There's only one route group table that the ENI gets binded to. Yeah, go ahead, Sushant.
I think we should say that how it ties to how customers are using route tables today in all the clouds actually. So the way they do is they update bunch of routes in a route table. And when they associate that route table with a single NIC or a subnet, and if the cloud provider returns a success, they expect the whole thing to work or nothing to work. Like either all the new one gets applied or not. And if we go via an approach where we are adding routes one by one, we can end up in a state where partially route table is applied and partially not applied. Let's say controller lose connectivity to the switch, right?
Yeah.
In that case, we can end up in a state where things are not completely working. Whereas with this model, we will never end up in an inconsistent state. Either the whole thing is applied or nothing is applied.
Okay. So for example, yeah, if you now you're gonna, okay, but what if you still do this and the libsci implementation rejects it because there's no space for it or something like that? Because in ACL, right, you commit it and then you return the response to customer, or in this case.
So over here, you have to see how the interface is to the controller. If the controller waits for successful application of the route, let's say libsci rejected, which means the switch is gonna, so let's say controller says, okay, apply this route table. That's a unique operation that has been given to switch from the controller route, right? So now in case libsci rejects it or fails for some reason, the controller needs to wait to see whether the operation successfully gets applied or not and return the same thing to the customer. But whether it succeeds or fails, customer will get a result for that operation which says that, okay, in case of failure, your old route table exactly is still applied and new one, nothing happened there. It will never be the case where, okay, it failed, but even after failure, the new one get partially kind of applied.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. That's not good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
and I noticed
if there are any further
515. Oh, thanks, Prince. Yeah, guys, if there's other feedback on this, let them know.
Yeah, we can comment on the PR.
Sure, and I did. I threw my stuff down at the bottom. And then 515, Ashutosh, did you you mentioned that you didn't think the table was being applied in the control flow?
This table was added, but I think the table needs to be applied somewhere in the control flow, right? So this change is.
So that would be for Marian, yeah.
Yeah, it's Marian has to.
I'm gonna check.
There was more feedback from Riff, so we'll take another round on this request.
Yeah, so we're actually closing the PR and PRNT again. So once that is done, so hopefully we can get this closed this week. So next week we'll get the doc published, and then we'll work on the we can continue the work of the PR and NSG.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if Andrei is on the line. I believe he's over in the Ukraine somewhere, so probably not on this call. Chris, do you know what's going on with this one, the Sci Challenger update? Oh, it looks like Chris had to drop. Marsha, did you happen to know?
Let me look at it.
Oh, okay.
I'll have a look and update.
Sure, no problem. Great. So I feel like we've finished that one. Okay. And I don't know if you saw the first part of the call, Prince, but there was just a ton of PRs and issues that were done in the last month or so that I finally caught up on and got into a done status. So just FYI here. And then did anyone else have PR or issue you want to talk about other than what I have here? Okay, then, Marian, did you have anything?
No, actually, with Riff's help and Andrei's help, by the way, too, we finally merged the DSCP settings, so I have nothing for this too.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, then I can give time back today if you guys would like to have it. Oh, Andy, is that fine with you? I forgot to ask.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm just lurking today. Thanks.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks, you guys. Thanks for the inbound routing discussion. Learned a lot. Yeah, thanks for everything. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.